I'm Elaine Viets. Lori Karmel is an entrepreneur. She started baking cakes. Now her business, We Take the Cake, is one of Oprah Winfrey's favorites, and Donald Trump has praised her cakes. Lori will tell you her story on today's Dead End Jobs show. I'm Elaine Viets, and I'm talking to Lori Karmel, owner of We Take the Cake in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, on today's Dead End Jobs show. Lori, you started as a mail-order bakery? Tell us about that.
Actually, I purchased an existing business in 2002, and to be honest with you, I have never baked a cake or decorated a cake before. I have no experience, and I don't think anyone here would want me to bake a cake, but I was looking. I had moved from Toronto, Canada, and I was looking for a delicious cake for my son's 3rd birthday at the time, and I was calling around to all different bakeries, asking them what their frosting was made out of, because I just kept having a grocery store cake at every party I had gone to, and I called We Take the Cake, and they said that they had a chocolate cream cheese frosting. So I jumped in my car and drove to Fort Lauderdale to find out that they bake to order. So all I could taste was some frosting on a fork, and that was good enough for me. I ordered my son's birthday cake from there, and then a year later I bought the business. So what we ended up doing was it was just a very sleepy mail order business. The store looked a little bit like a yard sale, but I knew it had a really, really great quality cake, so I thought we could really do something with this in terms of elevating the brand and the look of the cake and the packaging and so forth. So that's what I set out to do back in 2002.
Now, my friends have kids in college, and they have kids in the service, and they mail cookies and cakes to them. And when the goodies arrive, they look like they've been drop-kicked across the country. How do you mail a cake?
Well, we started off just mailing bundt cakes. And when I bought the business, they were putting the cakes into tins to protect the bundt cakes, and then into an outer carton. Over time, I actually just figured out how to ship layer cakes, and it took a lot of experimentation with the right amount of dry ice to freeze it solid, so that if you're not home and that cake is left in the box outside your hot, sunny Florida home for a few hours, we wanted to ensure that when you got home, that cake was in perfect condition. And that's what we figured out, luckily.
Now, about 2004, you were discovered by Oprah Winfrey. How did that happen?
So we had been in business for a little while, and it was post 9/11, so we were really struggling. And we just turned our very first profit in June of 2004, which was $19. And I actually say that with pride because we were so proud that we were thrilled to be selected as one of Oprah's favorite things, but the fact is that we turned a profit by ourselves before it happened. So we had just turned a profit, and I got a call earlier in the year, probably January of 2014, from someone who worked for Harpo Studios. And she was ordering a key lime cake, and she told me that she was on an airplane, and she gave someone tickets to the show, and they thanked her by sending her one of the key lime cakes, and she fell in love with it. So she was calling to order a cake, and I just started talking to her, and we talked about the idea of putting our cakes forward as one of Oprah's favorite things. So she told me to send the cake to that team. There was a team responsible for selecting the products to present to Oprah, because ultimately Oprah makes the decision on what it is. And they presented 100 products to Oprah. So we got the call that we were selected as one of the items being presented. And then they did a series of eliminations, meetings after meetings. So it was actually a long time of stress waiting to hear, and they were keeping me posted in terms of whether we made the next round and so forth. So we finally got the call in the fall of 2004 that we made the cut.
So this is from January until the fall that you had to wait. Wow.
Yes. And getting the random calls with updates going, you made this cut, you're going into the next one. So out of the 100 products that were presented to Oprah, we were one of 21 items, and we were the only food item, and we were the least expensive item. So it was huge for us.
Did you actually meet Oprah herself?
No, I wish I did. I didn't. I really wish I did.
Now, what happened? It was your key lime bundt cake, is that correct? That was selected. What happened when you were selected?
Well, they said to us, "Be prepared to be slammed." So I didn't know what that meant. So we didn't know where the bottleneck was going to be. Was it going to be in the baking, or were we going to be able to bake enough cakes? Because you have to understand, we were working out of the original retail store. That was a total of 1,100 square feet. Baking, packing, phone. We had 3 phone lines, and we were on a shared server for our website. So we just didn't know what to expect. We didn't know what the volume would be, and we didn't know where the bottleneck was going to be. So we assumed it was going to be in the baking. So we focused on making sure that we were going to be able to produce enough cakes. But in fact, where it was first of all, in the first 4 hours, our online store took 800 orders, and it knocked our server down.
Wow.
So because we were on a shared server with another company, they said, get off our server and don't come back. So we didn't have online sales anymore from after the first 4 hours, all the way from November until January 2005. Which meant all the orders had to come in through our phone lines, and we only had 3 phone lines. You couldn't get a line out. I mean, you pick up the phone, someone's on it. Our voicemail was filling up every 45 seconds. So our phones literally rang around the clock for 2 weeks nonstop. You just had ringing in the ears. I had to get family and friends returning phone calls from their home with their cell phones, like calling Hawaii, all around the world. And we'd say, I'm sorry, we just can't take any more orders right now. And then we would get the stories of, my mother has cancer, all she wants is this cake, and then it was really sad. And we were just, okay, just one more cake. Okay, one more cake. Like life and death depended on a key lime cake. So I think we ended up doing around 10,000 cakes. So the baking turned into the easy part. It was just taking those orders was actually the hard part.
Now, Oprah's magazine said that the profits in 2004 went from $19, which you were justifiably proud of, to at the end of 2005, $840,000?
Not in profits. That's in sales.
Sales, okay.
Yeah, we were doing in sales. I can't remember exactly what we were doing in 2004. We ended the year in 2004 after being on Oprah at 450,000, and then we ended jumping to 840,000 the next year. And then, luckily for us, we continued to grow because, believe it or not, this November will be our 10th anniversary since we were one of Oprah's favorite things. Did
you celebrate with cake?
Yes, and everybody who's listening should celebrate with a key lime cake. So yes, we're celebrating 10th. So we actually continued to grow until we leveled off, and we're hoping to continue to grow. But as a small business, we grew kind of organically, and then leveled off right around the $1 million mark.
Well, I've been to your new bakery in Fort Lauderdale, and it's in a very bohemian neighborhood, a fun neighborhood. Why did you move there instead of the ritzy downtown?
Um, Back in 2009, we had actually outgrown that little 1,100 square foot space in 2005, and we were moving around. We were renting space from a bread company, and then we ended up purchasing a little cookie company in Coral Springs, which was a 40-minute drive from our Fort Lauderdale store. So we were baking in Coral Springs and then driving cakes 40 minutes each way for actually a few years. And then in 2009, we ended up buying this building a mile and a half away from the retail location. So we were producing our cakes here and just driving them over to the little store. And then when our lease was up, we thought, why don't we just consolidate everything? Because no one can find us in that silly location anyway. I mean, people were calling us, going, where are you? We can't find you. So we thought, well, what's the point of paying full retail when no one can find us? When we could just be hidden away in this industrial location, be under one roof, consolidate our entire operation, and reduce our costs since we ship nationally. So why not? So we moved a year and a half ago into this one location. And yeah, you have to know about us to find us.
Well, for a brownie, I will go anywhere. And I found you. And it's not really that difficult. But what is the price range on your cakes?
Well, it depends on what it is. Because for our bundt cakes, we're at $28, and then it's plus shipping if you need to ship it. And then we also offer custom design cakes, so you can get as elaborate as you want to get, and it can go into $10,000, $15,000 for a cake. Or, maybe it's just a traditional birthday cake, classic design cake to feed 20 people. We're around $50 for that.
Now, these really expensive custom cakes, the ones that 15 to 20,000, how big is that cake and what is in it?
It is whatever you want it to be. I mean, we did a cake that was legs in high heel boots with the lace up the legs. I mean, crazy detail. We've done a lot of cars, convertibles, where you have to do the whole interior of the car, the seats, the steering wheels, the whole thing. And we even put the lights on so that with little lights that turn on.
Oh, how cute.
So, yeah, it can be as elaborate as your budget allows.
Now, you were praised by Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago Club for your extraordinary service, professionalism, and enthusiasm. Mm-hmm. What did you do?
We were their preferred cake company for years. Recently, they brought in a pastry chef who has the ability to do custom design cakes in-house. So now they just refer to us when that pastry chef can't do something specific. But, we worked with them for years doing beautiful, elaborate wedding cakes that were because, Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago is a private club. So these are for the members who are holding venues, or they're using the venue for weddings and so forth.
Did you actually meet the Donald? Because I've always wanted to see his hair in person. You
know what? I was not there. We did when Donald and Melania were planning their wedding there. They were there on site, and we were delivering a cake. But I was not the one who was there, unfortunately, because I want to see his hair too.
Now, tell us about the Aces of Cake man who had a vision for a cake for his wife's retirement. What was that all about?
The Aces of Cake?
Yes.
I don't know that one.
He said that he watched the show The Aces of Cake, and he had a vision for his wife's retirement. and that you were to make a special cake for his wife's retirement. Do you remember that?
No, unfortunately I don't. I wish I could say that I did.
Okay.
But maybe I wasn't involved with that one.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, for most people, cake is a dessert. Is that how you feel about cake?
Cake is a celebration. It's interesting. We were on QVC, and when you go on QVC, you have to take a class, and you have to do an on-air class to get ready. And they tell you, it's a very interesting way to learn about your own business, because they tell you, you're not selling cake. You're selling what cake represents. And I thought, that's right. We're selling family and love and celebration. That's what a cake is. Why do typically you're not ordering one of our cakes to have for dinner, as your dessert for dinner. You're having it as a centerpiece of a celebration. So, it's a symbol. But because it's a symbol, when you go to eat it, you want it to be a lasting memory. You want to say, that was good. It can't just look good. For us, it's important that it looks good, but it's more important that it tastes good. Number one.
What are your customers' favorites? We've had your brownies and cupcakes, and they are incredibly rich.
Yes.
But what are some of your customer favorite cakes?
Well, our chocolate cake has been our best-selling cake since day one. So we Take the Cake was in business for 5 years before I bought it. So 16 years, that chocolate cake it's a very rich chocolate buttermilk cake made with a chocolate cream cheese frosting. So very fudgy. Definitely number one. Key lime, far and away, best-selling bundt cake. Second to that would be triple chocolate chip fudge cake. That's also a bundt cake. And red velvet is crazy popular right now. I don't know if you are aware, but we produce for Williams-Sonoma and Neiman Marcus as well.
No,
So
I know. Neiman Marcus is famous for its red velvet. Right?
Yeah, well, we do a red velvet cake for them that has these beautiful red and white rose design that covers the entire cake. For Williams-Sonoma, we do a variation of a red velvet cake. They like theirs to be a little bit more with cocoa powder. They like it to be have a little bit more crimson hue to it, and have a little bit more chocolate flavor to it. So they're a little different. But the one that we do for Neiman Marcus, that's our classic red velvet cake, and we've been featured in Southern Living magazine, and we've been featured in Paula Deen's Quick and Easy Meals with that. That's our number one. But we do very well on Williams-Sonoma with it. But this Valentine's Day, we did our chocolate cake with these pink roses on it, and it was on fire. We sold hundreds and hundreds of that cake.
Now, Americans talk a lot about diets, but your business is thriving. So is that what we're doing, talking about diets while we eat?
You know what? I think on a daily basis, we're on diets. But when it comes to a celebration, we're prepared to indulge. And especially when you are serving cake for, say, 50 people, is it fair that you make them eat something because you're on a diet? Or do you want them to say, that was the best cake I had at your party. Tell me where you got it. So really, that's a time to indulge and celebrate.
Well, we also are a nation of picky eaters. We worry about gluten-free. We worry about peanuts. How do you handle that?
Well, actually, Williams-Sonoma asked us to develop a line of gluten-free cakes for them, which we're about to launch in May. We'll see how people react to that. We do get a lot of requests for gluten-free. But again, when you're having a party, are you going to make everyone eat gluten-free? because you're gluten-free. So, we actually had a very large corporate client this holiday season who sent out vegan cakes. We do vegan as well. And they sent out 76 vegan cakes to their very high-end clients. The reality is, we said to them, do you want your recipients to know this is vegan? And they said, don't know. We'll leave that up to you. So we made a judgment call and decided to not tell anyone it was vegan. And it worked out really well because we were a little bit afraid that they would make assumptions or judgments before they even taste it, just by knowing it's vegan. It tastes just like chocolate cake.
So they didn't know it was good for them.
Right. They didn't, and they liked it. And it made the giver feel good about it, He knew he was sending vegan.
Now, how much butter goes into your average cake?
Do you really want to know?
Well,
I don't think you want to know.
Oh,
it's like
go
the
ahead.
Calorie count. You don't want to know.
Go ahead, tell me.
I can't, I can't tell you. The only thing I can tell you is that it's real butter. We don't use margarine. We don't use anything fake in our cakes. They're made from scratch. They're as if you made them at home. It's the real deal. So it's going to be whole dairy. We're not using low fat. We're using real butter. We're using real cream cheese in our frosting. It's all real.
Well, and if you eat it standing up, the calories do slide off. That's a scientific fact.
It is. I've heard that too, yes.
I've seen you. How do you stay so thin?
Thank you for that. It's a daily struggle. When I first bought the business, and everyone would say to me, you'll get used to being around it. You won't want cake anymore. So this is my 11th. I'm into my 12th year here, and I can tell you for a fact that doesn't happen. It doesn't happen.
Good. I feel much better knowing that you have to struggle.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Totally, daily.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. For people in Fort Lauderdale who want to find your place, would you give us the address and the best way to get there?
Oh, absolutely. So the address is 1211 Northeast 9th Avenue in Fort Lauderdale. We are just north of Sunrise, in between Dixie Highway and Federal Highway. Our landmark is Christmas Palace and Pride Factory. As soon as you see those, you turn down our street. So we're definitely hidden away, but after you've been here once, you'll know how to get here again.
You do. You go all the way to the end of the street, and you'll see your nice pink and green front,
right.
And that way you can find it.
Yes, you won't drive by the pink and green stripes on the outside of the building.
Okay. What is your favorite cake? Since you have to resist, I feel so much better about this.
Definitely golden butter. It's our version of a vanilla cake with buttercream frosting, without a doubt.
Well, give us your website again, Lori.
It's wetakethecake.com.
All right, and I'm glad that there are no calories in talking about cake. Thank you again, Lori Karmel of We Take the Cake. I'm Elaine Viets, and you're listening to the Dead End Job Show.